Hello everyone, this is Manoj. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'll discuss and talk about how we can use SQL stored procedures in Web API. And also we will perform all CRUD operation like insert, delete, update, select using stored procedures of SQL Server. So first of all, let's open SQL Server. So here we will create a database and a table and we will perform all CRUD operations using SQL procedure on that table. Meanwhile, it is opening. Let me also open Visual Studio. So for this, I'm using Visual Studio 2019. So you can use whatever version you are having. So as you can see, this is the SQL Server window. So for me, I'm going to connect it locally. So this is my server name. For your machine, it should be a different name. So click on connect. So it will connect your local database. And in the Object Explorer, it will display all the features whatever SQL Server is having. So you can see this is the databases list. Once I expand it, it shows all the list whatever I have created so far databases. So click on New Query. It will open a query window where we will write all your commands. So for this, I'm going to use the master database. So I'm not going to change it. So let's create a table. Create table test employee F5. So you can see command completed successfully. Let's try to fetch the table records. So as of now, it is a newly created table, so there is no row. So we have created our table. Now go back to Visual Studio. So click on create a new project, and from here we will select our template. So in the search bar, type Web API. So ASP.NET. So this one we are going to use ASP.NET application, this web API. Click on this, click on next. Here we need to give a meaningful name. So let's say stored procedures with web API. I'm going to change the location. Go to your SQL Server. Now we need to create stored procedures. All right. So let's say first of all we'll create. I'm writing a list. So select all, select by ID, insert new record, update existing record, finally delete existing record. So these five operations we are going to have using SQL Server stored procedures in Web API. So our Visual Studio project has been created. As you can see the Solution Explorer. So this is the default file and folder structure of a Web API project, and this is the default page. Let's close this. So if you expand the controllers, so we will find two controllers. One is MVC controller and this values is API controller. So we'll use this controller. Let's close this one. So here, so when you create a default project, so by default you will get some pre-created methods. So if you can see this API value, this is the route for this particular method, and this is a type of get. So if you execute this, so it will return these two values. Same way, if you want to get a particular record, then you have to pass a unique value. Here they have given an example with 5. Post means if you want to insert any data into database, then you need to post those values from the front end. So it will land to this method, and further it will go to database and insert it. Put means, let's say there is an existing record and you need to update it, so you need to pass that unique number and the values. So it will fetch, go to database, match this number with the existing records and update those values. Delete, again if you need to delete an existing record, then you need to pass a unique number, and based on that number it will delete your data. So that's it. So now go to your models folder, add a class, Give it a name employee. Here we need to create some properties. So let's say prop int id, same thing which we have created here, the fields. So there's a shortcut prop and then hit tab. So it will create your property. Second one is name. Again, prop int age. Final one is also integer type, that is active. You can see. So we have created our employee class. Now go to values folder. Here, let's create this employee object. We need to include that model reference. So click on this intelligence and use stored procedure dot model. So now we have included our class over here. Now go to web.config. So inside this config, we need to create our connection string. So here in system.configuration, so here we need to create our connection string, add name. So let's say web API connection, and then connection string. First of all, we need to give server. What is our server? Go to your SQL Server, click on connect. So this is your server name. Copy, paste it over here, and now database. So in our case, we are using master. So type master, and as you can see, I'm connecting my SQL database using Windows authentication. So there is no need to provide username and password. But instead of that, we need to give integrated security true. That's it. So we are done with our connection string. Now go to your controller. Now we need to add some namespaces. So first one is using system.data, using system.data.sql client, save. So now SQL connection is equal to new connection, configuration. Let's add another namespace using system dot configuration. So now configuration manager dot connection string dot connection string. Here we need to pass the same name which you have declared inside your connection string. So copy this, paste it over here. So we are done with our SQL connection. So now, first of all, let's try to create this post method. As of now, there is no record because this is a newly created table. So let's create a record. So instead of this default parameter, give employee class, employee and object employee. Here, if employee is not equal null, so create a check over here, then we need to define our stored procedures data. So go to your SQL. Now let's create a new procedure. So create proc USP add employee. So we need name, age, and active. So at the rate name varchar 100, at the rate age int, at the rate active int, as begin and end. So this is the default structure of any stored procedure. So here we will write insert into test employee name, age, active, values at the rate name, at the rate age. Make sure the sequence, otherwise it will insert the wrong values. So we are done with our create procedure. Select this, click on execute. You can see command completed successfully. So now come to your Visual Studio. Here we will use SQL command. cmd is equal to new SQL command, comma, connection object, and copy your procedure name, pass it here. This connection is coming from here. Okay. Now cmd dot command cmd dot command type is equal to command type dot stored procedure cmd dot parameters dot add with value. So here we need to give the name of SQL parameter. So copy this at the rate name, comma. Now we need to provide the value. So from here we are getting value from the employee. So employee dot name. So let's copy this and paste two more times. One for age and one for active. And here change the properties. All right. Now connection dot open. We need to open that connection and int I is equal to cmd dot execute non-query. So it will execute our command. And finally con dot, we need to close the connection, save. So now change the return type because we need to give a message to end user. So if I greater than 0, it means if the record has been inserted, then return data has been inserted, else return error. Save. Okay, let's try to give a variable, let's say message return message. So save this. So we are done with our add web API method. So let's save this. Now try to put a breakpoint over here and try to run this project. And meanwhile it is running, let's open Postman because we will hit this API method through Postman. So this is the Postman interface. If you don't have Postman, go to Google and install it. Let's try to this one. Okay, so you can see localhost colon 44364. So this is the default URL of your project. So we need to copy this. Go to Postman. Let's try to change the request type so that would be post. And after that, we need to give API/values. Now go to body, raw, change this JSON, and we need to create a JSON. So first property is name. So let's say I'll provide my name, age, that is integer, active, that is also integer 1. So this is my request. Yes, the API has been loaded now. Minimize this and go to your Postman, try to hit it. So now you can see the control has been landed to this post method, and if you hover over this employee, so we are getting our data. So active 1, age 19, and name is Manoj Deshwal. We don't need to pass ID to insert a new record because that is auto incremented. So let's try to debug this. Perfect. If I continue this, so you can see data has been inserted. Now go to your SQL table and try to fetch all the records. So you can see the data has been added through our stored procedure. Go back to your Visual Studio. So you can see this is a stored procedure which we have written like this, and we have posted our data from Postman. So instead of Postman, you can use your any front end like React, Angular, or jQuery, an index or HTML form. All right, but just for reference, I'm showing this one. So let's stop this solution. So we have done this new record. Now let's try to create this select all. Go back to Visual Studio here. So instead of this, let's try to create a list of employee, and here we will use again store procedure. So go back to SQL Server now. So create a store procedure. So create proc esp get all employees. So we don't need any parameter over here because that only fetch all the employees and return back to the API. So inside this, just try to write select star from test employee. So execute this procedure. Procedure has been executed. Copy this name. Come back to Visual Studio. Now SQL data adapter DA is equal to new data adapter. So for this we'll use data adapter, comma connection. Now we will also use data table, data equal new data table. Now da dot fill dt. So data adapter will fill all the records into that data table. So let's try to make any check. So dt dot rows dot count greater than 0. If there is any single record, then we need to fill a list, create an object equal new list. So here employee emp equal new employee, and emp before that we need to create a for loop for int I equal 0, I less than dt dot rows dot count and I plus plus. So inside this we need to create a new employee object every time. So emp dot name equal dt dot rows I name dot toString. So same way, let's copy and paste 4 times. So employee dot id. So id is integer, so we need to convert that to int 632 id. Same way, let's copy this one because the other two fields are also integer. Age active, oops, age. So copy, paste. So once we have assigned all the data, then list employees dot add new employee and pass this object employee. So we are ready with our employee list. So let's make a condition over here. If list employees dot count greater than 0, it means there is any single record which is coming from database, then return JSON. We need to convert that into JSON. So JSON convert. We need to add a namespace newtonsoft.json, serialize object, list employee, return list employee, else return null. Save. So we are done with our get all methods. Similarly, let me copy this entire part and paste it over here. And we need to change our return type from string to employee. So here we need to pass one ID. We also need to pass da dot select command dot command type equal to command type dot stored procedure. Let's copy this one also. And here we need to create a parameter da dot select command dot parameters dot add with value. So here at the rate ID comma ID. So now save this, and here we will only get a particular employee, not more than that. So we don't need to create a list over here. Delete this one. We also don't need this. No need to add. Employee is not equal to null. Then return employee. And instead of high, we need to pass 0th index because we will only get a single record from the database. So we are also done with our get ID and get all. For get all, we have created our SP. So let's copy the same and paste it over here. Let's say get employee by ID. All right. So here we need ID column, and in the command we need to type where ID equal at the rate ID. So save this and execute your command. Now copy your procedure name, go back to Visual Studio. So here, not here, pass it over here, save. So let's try to run the Visual Studio project and go back to your Postman. So click on a new tab. So here we will use our get request. So let's copy this So the web API project has been loaded. Now go to Postman and try to hit this. So you can see there is only one record, so it is displaying one record. Let's go to this post and change Virat Kohli. Send. Data has been inserted. Go to your get method, click on send. So you can see we are getting two records. Perfect. So now we have tested our this method get. Now try to test this get by ID. So if I pass, let's say 1, so it will display only first record, which is Manoj Deshwal. And if I change the ID to 2, then it will display only the record number 2. Let's also try with the SQL Server. If you fetch all the records, so ID1 is Manoj, ID2 is Virat Kohli. So we are also tested our get by ID. So now we need to create, delete and update method, all right, which is put. So stop the solution. So here let's try to copy this copy and paste it over here, and instead of add we will use, sorry, update employee, and here we need to pass employee object, and here we also need to pass ID, which is coming from here. So ID, name, age, data has been updated, return message. So change the return type to string. Perfect. Same way, copy this and to this delete. From update to delete employee. We don't need that this check over here. And also remove all three parameters. Employee has been deleted. This save and control KD, it will align your code. So control KD is the command. So we are done with our web API part. Now we need to create these two stored procedures. So go to your SQL Server and create proc update. So for update we need all four parameters. So let me copy all parameters and so ID, name, age, active as begin and end. So update test employee, set name is equal to @name, age equal @age, and active @active, where ID equal @ID. So execute this one and let's copy this SP, paste it over here, and now we need to create the delete SP. So this will only take ID as a parameter. So change the command. So delete from employee where ID is equal to ID. So execute this one also. Let me give the comments. So that is for select all, and this is for select by ID. This is to insert a new record. This is to update and this is to delete. All right, now let's execute this. Oh, we already executed that. Now go to your Visual Studio. Now run the project. Now we will perform all 5 operations through Postman. So API has been loaded. Go to Postman and in your post, let's say we need to update, go to SQL Server and try to fetch all the records. So let's say for Manoj, we need to change the age. All right. So go to Postman and let's say make it age 31 and we need to pass the ID. So put it 1, send. So data has been inserted. Sorry, that is my mistake. We need to change the type put. So if I execute this, so we'll add 3 rows. No problem. So now if I execute this, as of now, the age of Manoj is 29. So if I execute this, so data has been updated. And if you execute this, so the age has been changed from 29 to 31. The name is also has been changed. So manojdeshwal, age, let's say 32, and let's make it active 0, send. Data has been updated. If you execute the command, so manojdeshwal 32 0. So this is how you can update your data. Now the final one is delete. So select this one or go to a new tab, copy this, paste it over here and delete. Let's say if I want to delete this record, the third one, so I only need to pass the ID 3. Click on send, data has been deleted. If you try to access the data, let's say without any ID, so it will give you all the records. So we are having only 2 records. Let's also check in the SQL Server, execute. So 2 records are there only. So this is how you can use your web API with stored procedures. All right. So get by ID, a post, update, delete. All right. And this is how you will create your stored procedures. So this is about today's video. I have already created many videos on Web API, SQL Server, stored procedure, React.js, C Sharp, jQuery on my channel. So if you want, you can go to my channel and view all of them. Also, if you are having any kind of problem with your project, if you are a student or if you are doing an internship, so I'm doing paid services for the project. So you can connect with me on my Instagram or you can go to my channel. There you will find my all contact details. So by that way we can connect one to one. So this is about today's video. I hope you like it. If you did so, hit the like button, share, comment. And if you haven't subscribed my channel, so I request you to please subscribe my channel. I need your support and help. So I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye bye.